You're probably asking, where did I get this PSP? Did I get it at a garage sale, estate sale? This is actually part of my collection. But today we get to see the world's largest PSP collection in a building behind me. I'm in a parking structure. I'm not going to disclose the information where we're at. We are here in an office here in Orange County, and we're going to see the world's largest PSP collection that is for sale. It is for $50,000. You can find it on eBay. It is listed. But let's find out how this gentleman got this entire PSP collection, and maybe you have the opportunity to purchase it. Let's go. We're here today with Mark, who has the world's largest PSP collection in the world.
What I believe is, yes.
Yes, what he believes is. How many games do you have in your collection?
Gosh, you got me off guard. I know it's over 800. There's about 600 some in the set, like the regular set, and there's like about another 100 or so that are greatest hits or favorites.
Yeah, I think you have like around 820 somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, there's like and there's like special editions, stuff.
You can actually find this collection on eBay. It is listed. And how much do you have the collection listed for right now?
Right now it's at 50 grand.
50 grand. Okay.
Yeah, like 49.99 thing.
Let's get more into how you acquired this collection. What actually made you collect PSP?
Well, I think it was about 2012 that I was wrapping up collecting my NES box set. And I was looking around like, okay, what am I going to collect for now? And the PSP at the time, I'm not even sure what the scene looks like now, but there weren't very many good emulators for it. So I was like, these are games that I can't really emulate and play. I know there were some good games on the system. I was out of the video game scene during like most of the lifespan of the PSP. And at the time, this is also around the time the Vita was starting to twilight in stores. So around where I was in Ohio at the time, there were stores that were still clearing out PSP and Vita stuff.
Okay.
So I'm like, let me go out, a lot of stuff you could still find at the time, you could still buy new on Amazon. The Amazon sellers were starting to clear them out, and I thought, this would be a good system to kind of like start on. And the more I started looking into it, I realized like nobody had like a complete guide or a list of what the games were. So I thought this would be kind of a neat project to try to figure out and put something down, not for the history book, so to speak, but kind of like just to do something for the community to make sure if people want to collect this, they can know what games are out there and what games were actually made and released.
Do you remember what was the first game you purchased?
No, I don't. I probably bought a system with a bundle. That's how I usually start collecting sets at the time was I would just go around local Craigslist ads or wherever and see if anybody's just selling off a whole bundle of games with the system and kind of go from there.
So what were the three main sources that you acquired the system from?
Mainly it was Craigslist to start, and then I went to all the stores. Like Target for a long time had PSP games clearing out. Went to every GameStop in Ohio. I mean, literally, I went and bought everything they had left in the stores because they were just, once they were gone, they were gone. They weren't getting any restocks. And then I switched over to Amazon and kind of, looked for any sellers that were clearing out their stock, and eventually moved to eBay and used stores. And you'll see that if you've collected for PSP, it's really hard to find used PSP stuff in the wild or game stores, let alone stuff that's in really good condition. It's usually been used and beat up on the road, which is good. But for a collector, it's tough to find the good stuff. Yeah,
for the collector in the game market here in Southern California, it's really difficult to go out in the wild and find games. It is very competitive.
In Ohio, it's very much more congenial, relaxed. People know each other here too. There it was, I knew people that were secondhand sellers that would look out for me and find out stuff or give me alerts of stuff. And here it's a lot more, and it's not just Southern California. I think it's just the times. There's more money to be made, so I think there's a lot more people who kind of look at it as their living, not just their hobby.
Okay.
So at least that I've encountered.
Since you live in Ohio, have you ever been to the world's largest yard sale?
No.
I think it goes all the way from Ohio all the way down to Alabama. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, I lived in Northwest Ohio in Toledo.
Oh, Toledo.
So
okay.
it was like right on the Michigan border.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the YouTubers that I follow are from Ohio area, and one of the persons that may be interested in your collection lives in Michigan. So it's ironic, the ones that I follow that are all game collectors, they're all in that region.
Yeah.
I actually grew up in Illinois, and as a kid, it was really difficult for me, even at that time, to find games. And I don't know how it became such an opportunity for those in Ohio,
It really wasn't. There wasn't enough. Like here, there's so many markets, and it was definitely different with Nintendo stuff because the West Coast and close to Seattle, there's just more stuff in the wild. You know, it seemed like, but in Ohio, there was definitely not enough stuff to sustain someone's living. So anybody who's doing it, it was their hobby. Like there was one guy I know who, in late 2000s, had basically a kind of a thrift shop, and he would just scour Craigslist and buy up any Craigslist stuff that was kind of on there.
Right.
So he was trying to make a living off of it. And I had deals with him, worked out, like he collected NES games but didn't like the boxes, so I would buy the boxes off of him and stuff like that. We would have arrangements like that. But it was all very congenial and nice. Here it's very much aggressive. You've got to be in the yard sale super early, to the point where I kind of gave up when I moved out here. I had deals with a lot of the guys that would do that. Like I had small kids, I couldn't go out early in the morning, especially if my wife worked overnight. So I was like, hey, I'm going to pay a markup. You guys get what you want. If I find deals, I'll let you know, and we'll just give each other good deals.
So what is your recommendation if someone wanted to start a PSP collection? What in today's market, what would you recommend? Where would they begin?
Oddly enough, you can still find some stores that sell PSP stuff new. Even every once in a while, I'll find stuff on Amazon. There was a one game when I first started collecting, for example, that Hexy's Force was the rarest game for the PSP when I first started collecting. And then, like, all of a sudden, there was a game dealer in Canada who found like a box of them, brand new, and started selling them for like $40 or something like that. So it tanked the price of it back to normal levels. But like, it seems like there's still, sometimes I'll notice that there's still like new old stock showing up places. So I would keep an eye on that. I used to do eBay alerts a lot. When it came to like the last, I want to say, quarter of the collection, like you really have to, at least from my experience around here, you don't find much in the wild. Like if you go to, like there were some of the retro expos, you could find some stuff there. There's a couple people have stuff there, but it's really not a ton, and it's definitely not always in good condition.
Have you been to any of the recent expos here in Southern California?
I went to the SoCal Retro Expo in February.
In Ontario?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been to Frankenson's?
I've gone there a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
How well have you fared there at that?
I've done pretty well. I mean, again, my personal opinion on a lot of this stuff, especially with the bigger cons, it's harder to find deals like it used to be before COVID. Again, my personal opinion and experience, it seems like there's a lot of people who kind of go from convention to convention across the country and can look at this like, I have inventory, I'm trying to make a markup. So they're really trying to squeeze maximum dollars out of what they're selling, so the prices are kind of elevated. Whereas it used to be, or at least I saw a lot more of, people who just want to clear out their collection. Like, I just want to unload this stuff, I want to be rid of it, so I'm going to price it to go. And that's where you were really looking for. And that's, why I used to go early, because I would want to go there and go from table to table to table and find that person who I could tell is like, they don't want to go home with this stuff. So they're going to have decent prices.
Okay.
And you could tell, like, I know at the February event, like there was a couple that was their intention. They just wanted to unload this stuff, and they had really good prices. I bought some TurboGrafx stuff from them. And, I heard, I wasn't there the next day, but I heard on somebody's podcast that like the next day, like they were gone, like, cause they sold everything out on one day and they just didn't want to come back. So, that's more of what I like to find. I think that's where the best deals really happen at those big cons.
Okay. What would you say is the rarest game in your collection right now?
In the PSP or the entire?
PSP.
PSP is definitely the Hilton experience game.
Can you explain what that game is?
Well, I say game in air quotes. You know, there's debate on whether that's a game. It counts as a game. I think it's technically a game because it's it was the Hilton hotel chain. Basically, they contracted out with a 3D game company, and they made a simulator where they gave them these PSPs with this game to Hilton employees to train them in different customer service experiences. So you'd have like a customer would ask for something, and you'd have to give responses and kind of go through the situation. But it's a 3D modeled environment. You walk around. It's an actual, graphic. It's real time graphics generated. It's not like I forgot. I think there's a Silent Hill like game that some people argue whether it's a game or not, but that's really just like a complex DVD menu where it's pre-rendered clips that are played back and forth depending on what button presses you have.
Okay.
But the Hilton one is an actual 3D rendered environment. So I consider that a game personally, but I don't consider it part of a set because it wasn't available for purchase to anyone.
Have you fully played the game all the way to the end?
No.
No?
No. It's not fun.
Okay.
It's supposed to train people.
But you have to have the exact PSP to play that game, correct?
Yes. When Hilton had I don't know what the deal was with Sony and how they handled that, but as far as we know, the minimum print run was 500, so there's probably 500 made, potentially. And you have to have a PSP that was made for playing it. And I say made for, it's been determined by other people that it has a firmware and a custom file on it that allows it to be played. So you have to have the PSP with the disc to be able to play it. And
was it individually, was it packaged in any type of package, or did the game come just loose?
I don't know how it originally showed up to Hilton stores. That's a good question. The only ones I've seen are just loose.
Loose, okay.
Yeah, the ones that the history of mine was that someone found it in the Savers in Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah.
With the system.
There's a system and the game.
So the game was inside the system as usual. That's how you usually find good games in the system.
Yep.
Anytime I find a system, a Wii or anything, it's usually got Wii Sports, Wii Resort, Smash Brothers, the typical games. And so what do you value that game at right now?
Well, that's the thing. I think the last time I saw a sale on eBay, the disc alone went for about $1,500.
Okay.
But again, unless you have the system, or if somebody's able to dump the firmware, you can't play it. So I don't know. I used to say I knew what the prices were and I can make guesses, but it's total speculation. Everything's going insane right now. So I probably wouldn't even talk. I mean, I'm selling it as part of my set, but I wouldn't. If for some reason I wanted to sell it individually, I probably wouldn't even talk to somebody.
And how much are you asking for your whole entire collection right now?
For the PSP collection?
Yes.
It's $50,000.
$50,000. Okay.
I'd probably say the PSP system with the Hilton, I would be minimum $5,000.
Okay.
Before I talk to somebody. But I mean, that's with the crazy market the way it is now. Okay.
Let me ask you this: did you price chart out everything for your collection, or is this just the value that you've put on the collection right now?
Some of it's price. It's not a direct value. I mean, some of it is the fact that it's a whole collection. You're factoring in not just the fact that there's a intrinsic value to the game itself of having to, if you had to repurchase it yourself, but it's also having to collect all of it, going and finding all this stuff. It's so hard to find. I can't tell you the countless hours I put in, not just researching whether this game exists, because that was a problem, but everything, at least in my collection, 40% of it is sealed. The ones that aren't sealed, if the case was scratched, if the manual was bent, if the game disc was cracked, I'd go out and get a new one. And I kept doing that until basically everyone is either sealed or it's near mint condition.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm factoring in that, the scarcity plus the time involved if you wanted to reproduce this yourself. This is kind of where I think that there's a value around that. I'm open to negotiations, but you know, that's kind of where I vector in now. And I like where it is now. It's in my office. It's safe.
Right.
My kids aren't going to run around and grab stuff. So, you know.
And so you're willing to sit on it until that right buyer comes along.
Potentially, yeah. I'm not in a hurry to sell it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's some of the viewers that I know personally out there that buy these type of collections, and they would probably take each individual game, price chart it, and come up with the value. And I don't know if you'd be okay with. I think that on the $5,000 value for the Hilton game, I would probably sit on that if I was you. I wouldn't even try to negotiate that price because it is an open market game that it really no one knows about. I would think that some game like that, you would probably, like someone who bought this entire collection is probably going to resell the whole entire collection.
I don't know.
And they may keep it. They may keep it for their own collection. There might be a PSP person out there that wants a whole entire collection and doesn't want to put in the work. And because I know what the time is to collect games, because that's what I do. I go out there and grind every Saturday. I do look for games. I rarely find them. The only way I source my games usually is I have a couple of estate sales that I deal with firsthand that allow me to go in and purchase the items. Usually I have to buy the item of what they're asking for before it goes, because they're like, well, we're giving you a pre-sale. And I'm like, okay with that, because usually I'm still getting a good price on that. What I found out is estate sales and garage sales, anytime they post games on there is an influx of people that wait, and I'm not the type of person that's going to fight for games. I actually like the thrill of the hunt and finding stuff, and that's why I go out there. If I dig through a box and I find let's say I find that Hilton game, I knew nothing about that game until I was doing some research on your PSP collection. My only other question really in terms of the collection is what games do you not have, and how come you were not able to locate those games that you feel like might put the whole collection together?
I'll be honest, I don't think there is a game that I don't have.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing I could say that I don't have, so after basically when the PSP was done, one of the last games to be made was a game called Summon Night 6. And that was released by Gaijin Works. That was kind of like not sold in retail stores. It was just sold on our website. Kind of like if you're familiar with collecting this for the sets, it's the same company did Class of Heroes 2, which is a rare Kickstarter one that is hard to find the Kickstarter version of. But I believe that they released like 8 different variants of the cover, and like it's not even variants of the outside cover; it's variants of the inside cover. So like the only way you can know how if you have one is kind of like holding up to the light, and if you try to shop for them online, you might not see every single or you might not even, the person selling it might not know what version they're selling.
And how did you acquire that last copy?
I ordered one right before they went out of business, or they stopped. They didn't go out of business, but before they stopped selling them. So that's how I got mine. So I have one, but I don't have the 8 variants.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but like, no, I know there's some special editions. Like I've got the only 2 copies I've ever seen of one special edition. There might be, the only issue right now with collecting for PSP is it's unknown how many greatest hits or favorites games there are. Sony, when they first started making those, Sony released official press releases, and they would say these are the games coming out under greatest hits or under favorites. But then when toward the end of the PSP lifespan, they just stopped doing that and kind of got lazy. And so now we're, even when I made the eBay listing a few months ago, like I was just searching and I found another greatest hits game I didn't know existed. In fact, I got one right here. Somebody told me, hey, you got this Thriffle game was released as greatest hit, but I didn't know that wasn't on my list. I updated the list and I went out and got one. But I mean, we're still finding these greatest hits every once in a while. So,
what was the most difficult game for you to obtain? And did you have to pay up for that game?
I mean, I had an alert for the Hilton game for 2 years before it popped up.
Well, how much did you pay for it?
I want to say for the system and the disc, I paid $1,000 for it.
Okay.
Yeah. and that was a lot. That was like, man, I was double, like triple, like reconsidering. I'm like, I paid too much. This is a horrible mistake, and at the time, but now I'm thankful I did. But yeah, that there were games that are tricky to find, but it was always like I always took them in batches. Like I made my list, and I would say, okay, there's like 10 or 20 games. I'm just going to put eBay alerts for them, and then I'll see them. These, once I was whittling down toward the last like 100 or so games, and then just check on the conditions of them. So, yeah, there weren't games that were too hard to find. A lot of times it was seeing a game I'd never seen before just pop up on eBay all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, what is the history of this game? I never even knew this game existed, or this special edition existed.
So it sounds like from your purchasing online that you have determined that most of the games were originated up in the north west, like quadrant of where you found those games. Because you mentioned earlier, you were talking about...
I bet that more... for the Nintendo era.
Oh, because, the Nintendo era.
Yeah, for the NES era, that was all.
Yeah, we were talking offline about that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm getting them.
So like, for like the rare stuff, like stadium events and the NWC cartridges, those are.
So, but the PSP, do you know where you got most of the games? Was there?
I got about half in Ohio where I lived initially when I started collecting, and I got about half in California when I moved out here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I once I moved out here, it was a lot harder to find stuff locally. Like I went around, I cleared out, I went, to so many Targets in Southern California, and I bought everything closed out that they had because they were still clearing them out when I moved out here in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you started this collection what year?
I want to say 2013.
2013.
Yeah.
And then when do you think when you really completed?
Well, I stopped doing a majority of my work, I want to say in 2018.
2018?
Yeah,
okay.
But I mean, like I said, I'm still finding favorites and, greatest hits that we didn't know existed. So every couple months, I'll kind of just, eBay like PSP greatest hits and kind of like check against the list that I have and see if anything else new pops up.
So how many games in your collection have you actually played?
I have what I call a kick around set, which is basically like a set of maybe 50 to 60 games that I actually like to play.
Okay.
Or more importantly, I want my kids to be able to play, and I can kind of just give it to them and they can kick them around. I don't worry about the condition or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, probably around 50, but not to completion.
Okay.
It's more of like I just want to see the experience in the PSP and play with them.
What are your top 3 games that you enjoy playing?
See, I'm an older gamer, so I'm I always thought the EA replay on there, which is just old games on there, but I thought that was a great set, and I never knew why they never released that anywhere else. It was great playing Road Rash, and I know you could emulate anything on the PSP or put whatever systems in the PSP, but I officially like to play it normally. And I went through and I replayed the Final Fantasy 1 and 2. Okay. I think minus the originals, I think it's probably the best remake that they've had for those 2 games. The other remakes they've done just have problems with them.
Okay, besides the Hilton, what would you value as 3 of your valuable games that you have in your system right now? In your collection.
So there's a Dynasty Warriors Musou special edition. It's called a Musou pack. I've only seen 2 of them ever. I have both of them
Do you mind showing us? Why don't we look at some of the games now? I'll go through and show you the whole entire.
So they fit. When I initially had it, I stuffed them both into 1 Billy bookcase, but now I've got them into 2. So the 2 Billy bookcases fit the whole collection. I've got them treated. They've got window tinting, 99% UV protection. If you got these indoors, you want to protect them from UV office lights.
Okay.
So these are a lot of the special edition ones up here, but this one. Whoop. This is the Dynasty Warriors, which is one of the first games released. You can tell because it's actually number 4, 1004. It's the 4th game released for the PSP system from Sony, or from a third party, I should say. It comes with this calendar and this pack with it, and it comes in this interesting kind of like net plastic box. But yeah, this is an official release that came out when the PSP was first launched, and like I said, I've only seen 2 of these ever for sale, and I snapped them both up because I again, they're pretty rare. So that would be something, if you're collecting and you want to collect special editions, make sure you put an eBay alert up for that. You can do a Google search and kind of, I think it's MOSSOU pack. But you can see some people talking at the time, talking about, oh, if you're going to get that, you know, who's collecting this. So this is actually an official release back then.
And how much did you pay for that one?
This one, I want to say I paid $200 for back in 2014.
Okay.
The other one, I'm considering grading it, just because it's really tough to find cases that fit these.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the grading part. Have you graded any of your PSP games?
No, I don't, because I know only the one company grades PSP stuff right now, and I'll be honest, I'm not really into grading. I collect. Initially, my thought was to collect games so my kids could play someday. This turned into more of a preservation project because it just got so involved. So this is one of the reasons I'm selling, because I don't want my kids to play this, because it's kind of like such, like I said, there's not many like this in the world right now.
Right.
So, but yeah, I haven't gotten anything great.
And I see you have Dynasty Warriors down here too. So that,
yeah, this is the regular game in here. But this is, yeah, all these special editions have the regular games underneath.
Okay, so up here is all your special editions.
Yeah, so like these have slip cases with them. This is the Kickstarter version of Class of Heroes 2. This is a Final Fantasy IV that came with cards. Prince of Persia double pack, slip covers, this double pack for Sonic Rivals, and some of these other special editions that came with other like add-ons like tarot cards, calendars, CDs, and over here is just these are for Hammering Hero. These are pre-order bonuses. This is a Final Fantasy VII pre-order bonus. These are all the special editions. These are all sealed. These were all, at the time, they were able to buy new because they were clearing them out on Amazon. So I bought all these for probably 15 to 20 bucks a piece.
Wow, especially Persona. That one's a good one.
This is way before people started catching on to Persona. This one is, I think this one never came sealed, but it has a CD in it, like a music soundtrack.
Okay.
And then over here, here's the Hilton PSP in a case. And here's Summon Night 5. So I was mistaken. This is a CD that came with it. And this is a shipping box. This is what they shipped you the game in. This isn't technically part of the kit, but I know a lot of people just kind of, it's like, this looks so cool, they just keep it.
Right.
But yeah, this is, so I have 2 copies. I have like a copy that's in here, and then this is kind of an extra one, because I bought one that didn't come with the box.
And what do you think the value is on that game?
That's a good question. I haven't checked. I don't check the values of these too often, to be honest with you, because I'm not in the market anymore, because I'm not buying these anymore. So yeah, these are Sega Fun Pack. This is really rare. These are more dual, and this is a Patapon 2. This is the only one. This is a downloadable game voucher back when they were experimenting with that. No game in the case, but that's the only game for PSP they ever did that with.
Wow. Yeah, I never come across just a single game like that in that kind of shape. So I think that if somebody bought this entire collection, I think it would be to their advantage if they did grade some of these games. And
absolutely, I mean, like I said, 40% of it's sealed,
and I think it would add even more value to the game. Yeah, to the whole entire collection if you did have those.
Absolutely, and that's part of why I priced it in. But again, it's.
I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but look how clean. I mean, this whole thing is just. It looks mint, right? Yeah,
no, like I said, if there was any issue with the game, the case, or whatever, I just replaced it. I went out and got a new one, or I felt like there's one game over there. I bought a loose game because I found a crack in one of the game case. And
would you be willing to sell the cases with the games, the whole?
What do you mean the case?
Like, let's say somebody wants to take this collection and they just want to immediate display it in their house. Would you
be willing? These are simply IKEA Billy bookcases.
But would you be willing to part ways with this
really
too?
Want them that badly.
I mean, because you have it so neatly displayed and everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, if they want it, because it's the UV coating on the windows isn't cheap,
right.
And it's prudent. And then at the bottom, I kind of start the greatest hits. The greatest hits kind of go up here.
Yeah, I'm going to go through the whole collection and show everyone.
Sure.
I definitely want everybody.
I do have a big a Metal Gear Solid system that's unopened that I want to grade, but there is the issue with the batteries in the system, which is why I don't collect systems for the PSP.
And what is the Crew Limited?
This is 2 copies of it. This was a special edition that was made for a game that there's only 250 of these were made.
Okay, so that's definitely one of the rare ones then.
Yeah, I mean, except it's weird because when they go for sale, they're not that expensive. You know, this DJ Max Portable 3 limited edition, I think there's only like 5,000 of these made. There's also another game that was only had like 5,000 copies printed, but they're not hard to find and they're not that expensive currently. And I think the PSP market is very odd right now because there's not a ton of collectors out there. There's definitely no speculators in the market yet.
Mm-hmm.
So the prices, you know, you can find good deals for PSP stuff if you want to look. I mean, there's a couple things. If it's a role-playing game, that's going to be elevated because people actually want to play those, or they want to collect for the series. That just happens to have a game on the PSP. But otherwise, like the games I had trouble finding are now, sometimes I see them and they're really easy to find, and some games that were easy to find when I collected are now hard to find. It's not, they're very rare to have a game that's just 100%, you're not going to find it, minus like Hilton or this Musu pack.
Do you mind showing us the Hilton game?
Sure.
Let's see what that looks like.
Sure. So this is a case. This is a case, I don't remember if this came with it or if this was one that I bought and kind of just put it in here, because it is a very good case. Let's see if I remember how to open this. I don't open this too often.
And while he's figuring that out, I'm going to kind of go over the entire collection, and you can see. So up here, are these the greatest hits up here? Is this what this part is? Okay.
The red ones are greatest hits, and at the bottom there's like a gold band on the bottom of the PSP logo. That's a favorites.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
Oh yeah, okay. I see that.
And at the top, just more favorites that didn't fit in there. And at the very top on the left is all the not for resale discs that came with the systems.
Oh, up there?
Yep.
And what type of games are in those?
Nothing super rare, but you know, like Madden, Need for Speed, just the pack-in games that came with the system.
And everything is alphabetical order, so
yeah.
If there's anything you see that's...
And again, I've shared a collecting guide and a spreadsheet for collecting these online that anyone can kind of use Google, hunt down, and find on different forums.
Okay.
On Reddit or...
What type of forum are you currently on right now with your whole entire collection?
Well, I'm actually not on a forum too often, but the PSP Reddit forum is kind of where I post this most of the time. I mean, I used to be on Nintendo Age until it got bought out.
Okay.
Shut down. I can't remember what the site was that came up. People moved to after that. I'm on there. But again, every time I have an update, or you know, I kind of post it on the Reddit forum and share it on a shared Dropbox folder for everyone to download.
It's amazing. Your collection is amazing.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to
no problem.
let me showcase your collection. Hopefully we can find someone that can buy this entire collection.
Yeah, I mean
that would be great.
Swimming pool, but you know, it is nice to have. It's a nice conversation starter.
Are you going to miss it if you sell it?
I mean, I've got my kick around kit, so.
Okay, so do we have the game up?
Yep. So let me see. I might have to plug it in. Last time
I have my charger.
Yeah, I got a charger cord right here too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Of course you do. It's your collection.
Press to release. Okay. There we go. It's a screen protector. So let's see.
And this was found at a Savers.
Yep.
In Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Oh wait, you know what? I might have taken the battery out because I always worry about the batteries on these things. Have you looked into that at all?
The batteries?
Yeah, the batteries puffing issue that a lot of these old PSPs have.
No.
Yeah, the batteries, you know, they only have a certain lifespan, and when they start to get old, they will start to puff up. And
here's my unit, but
yeah, do you want to see if you pop in there what's going to happen? We can see what happens when you plug it in a system that it's not supposed to play in.
Okay, let's do that.
But here's the game right here.
Okay. There's the game. Let's see what it is. Wouldn't that be amazing if this was one of them, right?
No, I think it was only these model ones, because they all were made at once.
Let's see, what's it do? All right. Well, that would be amazing if this actually played
Yeah.
the game.
You can do a long play video.
Data, game data not found. Please insert memory.
Yeah, so it's looking for something on the memory stick that's basically some sort of signature that's looking how to play it.
Okay, so it won't play it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't get lucky. I didn't win the lottery on that. So.
Okay.
Well.
So let's plug my system in. There's the game right there.
Okay. Yeah. Look at that. That is cool.
Yeah, no case, no sleeve, nothing ever seen for it. Not saying it doesn't exist, but it's definitely not ever been seen out.
Well, I'm actually contacted Hilton. I want to see if they have any of these in their archives. That would
I know
be
some people
interesting.
have reached out, but basically it seems like you'd have to contact it. Like these are either were, you know, taken home by an employee somewhere, or it's sitting in a drawer at a Hilton somewhere random, or they were just given out because it was so long ago. I know people have gone and tried to hunt them down at different Hiltons, and see if have any laying around, but I haven't heard of any success stories yet.
All right, so just hit start initially. There we go. Let's see. Okay, see, that's what you get. So it has been installed on this one. And you were telling me that there might be someone out there that's trying to work on a simulator to get this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are trying to dump the memory card and crack it so that anybody can play like a ROM of this game.
Okay.
But right now you do need this PSP and memory card to match. Basically the memory card and the game in this version system to match up for it to play.
Okay. You can actually find YouTube videos of this game. It is out there, so you can kind of. Someone has gone through made a video about this.
Have they done a long play?
Yes.
Hello, and welcome to Hilton Garden Inn's Ultimate Team Play. By playing this game, you will learn how to improve our guest loyalty. Now go have fun.
You got start, tutorial, credits.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Well, thank you for showing us that. Let's see, is there anything else we wanted to showcase? Let's see. There was one game I actually wanted to personally see.
Sure.
See what on my list here.
Yeah. Most of the discussions online, honestly, revolve around the controversies on whether a game should be considered in a set or not, versus having, whether a game is rare. There's a lot of games, especially
the Retro City Rampage.
Oh, okay, sure. So that one. Okay, it's back. That was an interesting one because it never officially released. So here's the case. So if you're familiar with this dev, he tries to release this game on every platform he can. He actually released a DOS version of this. Mm-hmm. He, according to the story that I read, he was in line to get this printed as a PSP game, but Sony shut down the plant before he can get it in. So instead of just abandoning it because he wants to put on every system, he released the case and the manual. So if you bought a digital version, or I believe I bought the Vita version, you got this as like a bonus. So it's an official PSP case, liner, and manual, but you don't get the game. The game was never released physically for the PSP. See, not for resale.
Okay.
So it's a cool thing to have with the collection, but again, it's not officially part of the set, of the physical set, I should say.
And do you think they make a lot of the remakes of these just so people have it in their collection?
What do you mean by remake?
I mean reproductions. Is it like, how would you be able to tell if that is a authentic versus a reproduction of that game?
I don't know if there's a market enough to make it worth anyone's while to make a reproduction, to be honest. I've never seen a reproduction. I mean, you can't do a reproduction of the PSP game, which is one of the reasons I wanted to collect for, because you can't, like, this is all authorized for, via Sony. You can't burn a PSP game, right?
Okay.
They had a special plant. I think they had 2 plants where they pressed these games, and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I thank you for your time, and if anybody's interested in purchasing this collection, what is the best way to reach out to you?
Just reach me on eBay.
Okay.
I mean, you would not believe the crazy questions I get.
Would you be okay with the viewers if I was to reach out and have them contact you outside eBay? Because one of the things that they could probably do is, like, especially a real collector, and save you money, is all the fees, because this would be a high fee associated with the eBay fees.
Agreed, and that's fine.
Yeah. So let's just leave it at that, and then if you have any questions, mark in the comments if you have any questions about this system, and then I'll have Mark, I'll get back to you and let you know.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Like I said, if you're interested in PSP, go out and check out the collecting guide. It's not just a checklist of the games that are out there, but it's also gives you a backstory on what to look for, what could be rare. Even the numbering on the sides can help you differentiate what versions you have, because they have a numerical sequential numbering system for a lot of their games.
Okay, so maybe you can shadow that. How do I tell what version it is by the numbering? Well,
at the end, if it was released by a third party, it went up from 1,000. So this Namco Z was 35. So this is the 35th game. This is 340. That's later in the collection. So you can kind of gauge where it was released in the lifespan. And if it was released by Sony, it starts from a 9,000 number right here.
Okay.
And it kind of goes up a little bit. But as you can tell, whether it was released by Sony, whether it was released by a third party. Also, if there's a letter after it, we'll tell you what region it's for. If it's a US region, no letter after it. But if it was for Canada, you could see an F for French, or in Mexico or in South America, an S for S.
Okay.
For Spanish. So that way you can, sometimes people want the US version, not the Mexican version.
And I know we didn't really hit on the movie, because PSP released the UMD movie.
Yep.
Do you know how many movies they released?
Nobody knows. I know it's a lot more than games.
Okay.
I know there are some people that still are working on trying to create a list, but I would guess it's at least 2,000. So Sony was somewhat tight, and one of the reasons I like the PSP is, like, unlike the DS, I think, in my opinion, pound for pound, there's very little shovelware on this system. These are all pretty decent games that are on here. So Sony was very tight with who they let on the PSP system, but for movies, they let anybody that, you know, even like softcore pornography was allowed on the PSP. So it was, anybody could make UMD movies, but it was tough to find in the game. So I don't know. I know somebody had at least 1,000 at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing there's at least 2,000.
2,000. Okay.
Yeah, but I could be 100% wrong on that.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, and like I said, add in the comments if you're interested in the system. Add comments of what you thought was a great game, what kind of PSP games you have, what's a difficult game that you may be having a challenge finding. Maybe Mark can lead you in the right direction of finding that. But thanks for your time, Mark. We really appreciate it. It's a great collection.
Thank you.
Thank you.